So now we're on Daf Gimel Amid Beis, and the Gemara asks, "My shaklu." Tanya, mipnei ma omru besula niseis liyom arvi she'im yeshlo im hoyelo tainis besula no yamashkin lebezdin. So the Gemara asks, "V'timasi bechad b'Shabbos im hoyelo tainis besula no yamashkin lebezdin." After all, bezdin convenes on a Monday and a Thursday, so let him get married on a Sunday night. And the Gemara answers, "Shaktu chacham al takvanas b'nos Yisrael." They looked for a way of guaranteeing protection for the best interests of Bnos Yisrael. Shei Adam Torech Besuda Shlosha Yomim, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Echad b'Shabbat, Sheni b'Shabbat, Shlishi b'Shabbat, Revi Konsa. And the Chub will take place on Wednesday. So we have now a question on Shmuel, on Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, because we have to insist that the marriage take place on Wednesday night, even if Bezdin is sitting kavua, convening every day, because we have the problem of shaktu. Now, this brisa has two parts to it. We learned the first part. Now we're going to see the second part of the same brisa. Umisakana v'yelech nagu ha'am lichnos b'shlishi v'lo michu b'yadam chacham. The situation arose historically where the Rabbanan allowed the wedding to take place on a Tuesday night. Why is that so? Because it was a sakana to get married on a Wednesday. The anti-Semitim wanted to completely prohibit Jewish marriages on Wednesday, knowing full well that the custom in Israel was to get married on a Wednesday. So we're going to fool them. We're going to trick them. We're going to have her married one day earlier without violating the law, so to speak. V'sheni lo yichnos. We will not allow him to get married on a Monday, because then he only has 2 days maximum of preparation for the Suda. V'im machmas ha'ones. He has no possibility of a Wednesday marriage. Mutter. We're going to allow him to get married on a Monday. Next. Umafrishin es hachosim in akalo lele Shabbos. And we separate the chosim from the kala on Friday night. Tchila, if this is the first bia, mipnei shu oseh chabura. He's violating the Isser Chavala on Shabbos. Frekti Gemara, my sakana. Tell me, what is this sakana that all of a sudden, instead of insisting that they get married according to the Takanas Chama on a Wednesday, they're allowed to get married on a Tuesday? If the anti-Semites are so powerful, they want to destroy the Jewish people, break their backs, and murder them. The Amri Besula Nises Yomi Teharik, they'll give a new edict that if she gets married on a Wednesday, we're going to chop their heads off. If that be the case, Nagu, how could the Brisa use the word Nog? They were knowing not to get married on a Wednesday. Is Lagamri Niakra. The Chacham should be oker the entire takana of getting married on Wednesday. Because that's the most dangerous situation. Omar Rabba, the Amri, Besula Noses, B'Yomer Ti Boil Hegmon Tchila. That the Malchus was Gozer, I forgot, there's a Latin word for this, which I forgot what it is. Maybe you could look it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe you could probably look it up in Google. But the Greeks made a decree that if a woman was married for the first time, she's a basula, then the hegmon, who's the chief guy over there, he would have first dibs to have a relationship with her. Now, this is not considered a sakana in the sense that they weren't killing us. And the Rabbanan therefore did not want to be oker the takon of Yom Ravi because they're hoping that the gzera of the Hegmon business would pass. But they allowed the minhag to go by to be makdim and get married on a Tuesday. In fact, the Gemara, hi sakana, why does the Brisa use the word sakana? It says, "Mi sakana ve'elach nagu," etc. Onesu. This is not a question of sakana. It's a question of ones, of rape. So the Gemara answers, there is an element of sakana here. Why? Mishum dika tznuos the masri nafshai l'ktola the asyon lidei sakana. In their mind, they would rather die, give up their lives, rather than have this beer with the hegma. Because the married woman, so the Gemara rejects this. If you're worried that the tznuos are going to give up their lives rather than have beer with the hegmon, which they don't have to do because of what we call isha karkola, is lidushu donashari. Why don't we go public and tell them that a rape situation is muta? I mean, don't get too much pleasure out of it, but it's something that is beyond your control,
right? And
it's onus. So Gemara says that's not an option. The ika prutos. There are those who will take advantage of it. Once you teach them that in an onus situation they're allowed to submit themselves, they'll already do it baratzon. They're prutos. Now, if they do it baratzon, they're not allowed to go back to their husbands. But really, this is machlokas rishonim, told at the beginning of the Masechet, whether or not a non-Jewish rape situation, or in this case, she gave herself willingly, or she's a prutza, would that prohibit her abayla? If it's a guy, some say it's only if it's a Jew, but here we're talking about a guy. The Gemara goes on and says, "Economic kahanos." Right, a woman who's a kohenes, married to a kohen, even if she was raped as a married woman and it was onus, she cannot resume her relationship with her husband. And therefore, she's going to think this is a situation which certainly the Torah would require Mesiras Nefesh. I would have to refuse to submit myself to this Tiboil Hegman Tchila, because otherwise, why did the Torah say that I can't go back to my husband? So we have a real sakana issue. So the Gemara asks, why weren't we oker the entire takana of Yom Revi, given the fact that this is a sakana? If there was a decree, we're not going to be oker a takana d'Rabbanan because of the decree, and we believe that it'll pass with the course of time. The Gemara now raises the following kashi: Hachi b'shlishi nami osi boil. Once he hears that the minhag changed and the Jewish women are getting married instead of on a Wednesday and a Tuesday, what have you gained? The Hegman is going to come now on a Tuesday. The Gemara says, "Misfekelo okar nafsh." He's confused. He doesn't know whether the Jewish minhag is on Wednesday, whether it's on a Tuesday. The Hegman is in a suffix situation. So therefore, since he doesn't know when this marriage is going to take place, whether on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, he's not going to be matriach himself, put on all his garments and bring him in with the carriage and all that. Now the Brisa says, "B'sheni lo yichnas." Monday is out, but v'yimach mas ones mutter. What does that mean? My ones ilay mahada amoran. If you're talking about a case of Hegmon and all that stuff, that's sakana. Asam in the Reisha Karile sakana v'hacha Karile ones. Visu, and furthermore, hasam nagu V'hacha mutter. So the mashmos of the language here, the brisa, is that if a person comes into Bezdin to ask a shaila, what should he do? They'll be matir. So it's not nagu. It's an individual issue. Is it mutter? Is it not mutter? So again, we're back to the question: what does ones mean? That you're allowed to be mocked in the marriage because of ones. Amar Rava, what is this ones? The Amri Sar Tzava Balair, the head of the commander-in-chief of the army is going to come in with his soldiers on a Wednesday into the city. They see that the Jewish people are having this fantastic, beautiful banquet. They're going to just pounce on the banquet. They're going to take it away. And perhaps according to the law of the land, they're allowed to do so. So we're going to be makdim to get married on a Monday, knowing full well that the chayalim of the local authorities are coming in on a Tuesday. So Gemara asks for clarification. Hechi domin. What is this Sar Tzava who's coming to the city? Idi Asi v'cholif. If he comes in on a Wednesday with his chayalim, and then after Wednesday he goes back to where he ever goes back, so liakev. Why are we makdim the day of marriage and being mevatel takanas chacham? Why don't we postpone the marriage to next Wednesday? Lo tzricha de asi v'keva. We're talking about a situation in the brisa where the Sar Tzava is coming to the city, setting up his yeshiva there, his domicile. And by delaying the marriage, you're not going to gain a thing. So we allow you permission, leniency to be magdim before the Sar Tzava comes in, before that Wednesday. Do it on a Monday. Vishlishi, Mia, Lichnos. Why are we encouraging the marriage to take place on Monday? Why not on Tuesday? It's a little bit closer to the Takanas Chacham of Wednesday. And the Gemara answers, is parva didei b'shlishi kos. Even though the real bulk of the battalions come in on Wednesday, but they already send a group of chayalim, which are called asparva, one day in advance on a Tuesday. So they are already planning the Suda, the Tzorchei Suda, these chayalim, on Tuesday for Wednesday. So that when the Sar Tzava, when the chief commander comes in on Wednesday, they've covered all their bases. So therefore, Shlishi is not an option. Because if we make the wedding on a Tuesday, then all the food is there, the banquet is set, it's laid out, and the chayalim who are coming preemptive before the Sar Tzava on Wednesday, come a day earlier, they're going to take the entire Suda away.
Right.
Okay, now we begin a sugya called Avelus. So we won't have time to learn the entire sugya. We'll just try to get a flavor and an introduction. The Gemara is going to offer another scenario through Avelus of being magdim the marriage before the Wednesday. Kirisanya harei shoyapito ofu vitabcho tavua. So he's got fresh bread for the wedding, those long challahs. And they've already shechted the animals, so they have plenty of meat for the Suda. Yayin mazug, they've already added the water into the concentrated wine in a certain percentage, and they've mixed the wine. And then never meis av shel chasa ve'ima shel kal. Oh, ima shel kal. What do we do now? We have to bury the dead. The close relatives are obligated in Avelus and Shiva. Let them finish Shiva, and then Biakach Lisa. So the answer is, if they're going to wait until after Shiva to set up the wedding, all the food is going to spoil. They didn't have refrigerations like we have today. So what's the solution? Put the corpse into deep freeze, so to speak, into the morgue where it's cold. That's where we'll end up. So we have to already dress warmer. It's even colder than Montreal. So what do we gain? By placing the mess into the morgue, it's no longer meso mutal fanav, and therefore, machnisin es achoson v'esakal l'chuppah. We want to get the chuppah now so we can eat the suda instead of waiting in a week till after Avelus. And here on the top of Daf Daled, uboil bilos mitzvah uporish. So before they bury the dead, he already consummates the marriage, and then he no longer has a relationship with her. They bury the dead, and now there's Shivas Yimei Mishnah. And that's Kodem L'Shivas Yimei Avelus. It's going to be a 14-day period, 7 days of Mishnah, then followed by 7 days of Avelus. What a paradox. And it means that by being boiled bilas mitzvah, they begin the Shivas Yimei Mishnah, and now the Avelus can't be chal, because the Shivas Yimei Mishnah repel, they're antithetical to Avelus. Is noeg Shivas Yimei Mishnah v'akach noeg Shivas Yimei Avelus. V'cholos and Yomim, during the Yimei Mishnah, the days of Avelus, hu yoshem ben anoshim v'hi yishenim ben anoshim. Is an Isur Tashrish Amita during Avelus. We have to separate them because they may come, Chas v'sholom, to have beer. Okay, this brisa goes on and on, but we'll leave this for another time. Let's just make a note of where we got up to. Okay.